must be so proud of yourselves. Somebody's shooting cars with a gun. They're set on fire. We love that. What the is wrong with you? Go live for about a decade in a fascist government, a real one, and then come back and tell me how bad our government is. First episode of the comedy series is going to be, I believe, the Sparks against the Sky. Angel Reese is going to attempt to make a layup. I'm going to predict it. Caitlin Clark, 2025 WNBA MVP. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoy this program, I wouldn't mind you liking, commenting. Well, don't comment if you don't like it, but you can like it for us anyway if you don't. We appreciate everything that you sweet bastards bring to the table. We love to see the interaction from you. Join our community and let's have fun. In today's program, is there a new face of American basketball emerging? The NBA may have help on the way soon, and Bronny James has a career night against the Milwaukee Bucks. You're not going to believe it, but we'll talk about that. We got tweets coming up today. We're going to be looking at the Why Not tournament, all kinds of good things happening on this show today. But let's begin with some bad things that continue to happen across this country. And I speak of the burgeoning movement to take down Elon Musk and Tesla. We have seen a rampant amount of what I would consider domestic terrorism, certainly at a minimum property crimes of a great scape here, where we've had Tesla set on fire. We've seen that happen. We've seen vandalism of Tesla charging stations and so forth. Owners of Teslas being doxxed. We've got Tim Walz out there cheerleading Tesla stock dropping, even though there is a substantial amount of Tesla stock in the portfolio of Minnesota's retirement system. So there are a lot of Minnesotans and a lot of Americans around the country who are invested in Tesla stock and who suffer when Tesla stock drops because of this movement that's going on, and frankly, these acts of property crime that is happening across our country. The Daily Show was referencing this the other day, and I want to go to this, and as you watch this segment, I want you to particularly pay attention to the reaction of the Daily Show audience, and let's ask ourselves if this is in any way normal or healthy.
Jim, they're taking to the streets or the parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
This dramatic video shows multiple cars in flames. Police say the attacker used Molotov cocktails. It's the latest in more than a dozen instances of arson and vandalism targeting Tesla.
The same suspect shot more Teslas with a gun. Tesla Cybertrucks were set on fire in Kansas City, and earlier this month, shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Cybertrucks on fire in Seattle.
Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh?
Yeah, it's so funny when people do things like that, isn't it? What the fuck is wrong with a substantial portion of our country? This is bigger than what your political beliefs are. I was raised by a sweet little Southern Baptist mama from Kentucky that right is right and wrong is wrong. And I certainly have stepped across that line a few times in my life, and she was always frank with me and told me when I did. And I am far from perfect. Believe me, you look up not perfect in the dictionary, you get a picture of me. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And regardless of what your opinions are, going out and destroying other people's property is never okay. It's never okay. Let's be clear. And we are getting real casual about really fucked up stuff in this society. Tim, go back and just give me 10, 15 seconds of this clip again. I want you to listen to the audience reaction to this, because this is actually very serious. Roll it, Tim.
Jim, they're taking to the streets or the parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
This dramatic video shows multiple cars in flames. Police say the attacker used Molotov cocktails. It's the latest in more than a dozen instances of arson and vandalism targeting Tesla.
The same suspect shot more Teslas with a gun. Tesla Cybertrucks were set on fire in Kansas City, and earlier this month, shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Cybertrucks on fire in Seattle.
Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh?
Molotov cocktails. You must be so proud of yourselves. Somebody's shooting cars with a gun. They're set on fire. We love that. What the fuck is wrong with you? Go take a long look in the mirror if you think that this kind of thing is in any way normal or any way okay. And it's not just average Joes and Janes out there who are taking this position. Celebrities are involved in this as well. Tesla Takeover being discussed as part of this movement. And I want you to listen to the words of an actor that I've always actually really enjoyed his work. Whether we're talking about, the movies that I watched in the 80s or things that he's done more recently. He's a very talented actor. I've always enjoyed him, but John Cusack maybe going around the bend. Let's listen to what he had to say.
I think everybody should really enjoy taking this guy down and the stock down. And because of the example it will set, nothing's going to. We are in an oligarchic country that's fascist and becoming more fascist every day, and that means people are going to die, and it's going to get as ugly as we can think. And the only way to stop that is if the people who have the money are afraid of us, the 99%. And it's the people who own the society, the owners. Those people, we have to make them really afraid. And what's happening now with Musk is making them very afraid. And that's a good thing.
So we want to make people afraid. So who is it in history that you have learned? Who are the people that try to get what they want by stoking fear in everyone else? Making them afraid, basically coercing them to get what you want by scaring other people. What do we call those people? I don't know. I'm trying to think of what that word. Terrorist, I believe, sometimes is what we call them. Cusack's just hitting the trifecta here. We live in an oligarchy. We live in a fascist country. People are going to die. That's always one of the favorites from the left. People are going to die. They have to get their way because people are going to die. And yet the people that are out setting things on fire, keying cars is the least of it. Shooting Molotov cocktails. The Molotov cocktail side. They're the good guys. We live in an oligarchy. We live in a country where the current president was elected with millions more votes than his opponent. And he, electoral majority, swept the battleground states. You're calling me a fascist. If you think we live in an oligarchy and you think that we live in a fascist country, you're calling everybody that voted for Donald Trump a fascist. Fuck you, champ. Jasmine Crockett also weighing in as this Tesla takedown conversation went on. We've come to expect her to say stupid things, and here's another one.
I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes.
Oh, what a great birthday present. Maybe somebody can hurl a Molotov cocktail at a Tesla dealership and you can get your wish. You fucking idiot. Not everybody has lost their mind, however. Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary, appearing on CNN, had some harsh words for those who are doing those things. He believes they ought to be punished and punished significantly. Let's listen.
When you set a car on fire, you should go to jail. You're a criminal.
Any car,
I don't think we have to talk about it in any other context. Yeah. And all those cars have cameras in them, and those dealerships have cameras. You're beyond being stupid when you do that. You're going to go to jail, and you now have a government that just got their mandate. They can't wait to find idiots that do this. You're going to spend 5 to 20 years in prison. If they get them on terrorism, which I think is a stretch, they will have no parole. no shortened sentence. They'll rot in hell in prison for 20 years. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. It's better than okay. Because some people are going to have to be made examples so that the rest of the people who are thinking that they might want to go out and engage in this type of activity have a reason to pause and think whether or not setting a Tesla on fire is worth spending 10 or 20 years in prison. Because that's going to have to be the calculus here. And it cannot be mainstreamed and normalized. That's the thing. As a sociologist, that's the thing that concerns me. The casual way that this is being treated. A Daily Show audience applauding for that just as they would applaud for any joke that Jon Stewart or Trevor Noah has made in the last 20 years. Like, this is just a casual thing. Molotov cocktails, look at this. All that stuff on fire, whatever. Oh, woo! Yeah, that's great. You're showing who you are. You're showing who you are. And if that's not who you are, really think about it. Really think about it. And backpedal away from the lunatic fringe. Okay, there are ways to make your voice known. Boycott Tesla products if that's what you want to do. I support your right to do that. Do whatever it is that conventionally we would do. Do you remember the civil rights movement? Do you remember Dr. Martin Luther King encouraging anybody to set things on fire and destroy things? No, you don't. Part of the reason that the civil rights movement ended up being so effective is that Dr. King and those around him took the high road. Peaceful demonstrations, organized boycotts that did not engage in any type of violent behavior. You could take a page from Dr. King's book on this one. And what he was fighting for, I would argue to you, it was substantially more noble and sensible than the cause that you guys have taken up. Domestic terrorism is un-American, but I'll tell you motherfuckers what's as American as apple pie and producer Tim grilling burgers, and that's basketball, and we're all loving it right now. March Madness is underway, but there's one problem that some of us have noticed in the past few years. Who is the face of American basketball? We've had all of the talk about how the last 6 MVPs have been foreign-born, and it's going to be another foreign-born MVP this year. It's either going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's Canadian, or it's going to be Jokic again. And so we're living in a world where, hard as it is to believe, I remember the Dream Team when we just rolled into the Olympics and beat everybody by 65 fucking points. Being American, that was the only thing that you ever thought you would see from a truly legendary player in the NBA. But the world has changed a lot in the last 30 plus years. And now suddenly you look around and you're like, where's the next great American player? Anthony Edwards has said he doesn't want to be the face of American basketball. LeBron is a year or 2 or 3 from retiring. So who's it going to be? Jay Williams has a thought on this matter, and he just might be right. Let's listen.
Think about all the conversations that we have, regardless of whether players like it or not. I hate it, but it's a real thing about who's going to be the face of the league. Anthony Edwards says, I don't want it. John Morant says, he's kind of off that here and there.
Okay.
So get where I'm going on this one, Stephen A. Cooper Flagg now. There are pictures of him in college basketball with his face and the American flag behind it. Yeah. Think about everything happening in our country right now, right? About what it means to be America first. Okay. Yeah. He's from Maine. He's not like from one of these cities, East Coast. He's from Maine. Okay. Representing the bigger grand stage of the country. He's won in high school. If he wins at Duke, now I hate these comparisons, but people naturally do it, Stephen A. You know where I'm going. The Larry Bird. I'm like, he don't play nothing like Larry Bird. His game is actually more like Paolo Banchero, but certain people do things like this. So if Duke wins and Cooper Flagg wins, it becomes way bigger than just basketball. And then it becomes, could he be the face of the league moving forward? That's what I'm.
It's an interesting point that Jay Williams makes. Cooper Flagg could be the American player that we all rally around who becomes the next face of the league, at least the face of the league for America. It's an interesting thought, although I still consider Duke to be pretty fucking anti-American. I'm looking at you, Christian Laettner. I'm still a little salty about 1992. It's not personal, Christian. Maybe it's just a little bit personal. You hurt my feelings that day. Let me now call upon the international streaming star who joins me now from Nashville, Tennessee. He is, of course, Ronnie T-Shirts. And Ronnie, let's go ahead and get your thoughts on what's going on here with the whole Tesla thing. This is really getting to a point where it's getting out of control. And I hope that before it goes further and we start having even more widespread events like this, cooler heads can prevail and maybe we can rein this in. I don't know how optimistic I am.
Ricky, I think what we're seeing right now is just another example of how easily manipulated and influenced a lot of the people on the left are by their leftist elite. They basically, how I feel is the powers that be on that side are basically sending out marching orders to these people to carry out their dastardly deeds, right? And they just sit back in their plush chairs in Washington or Hollywood or wherever they are, and they just let these, again, so easily manipulated and influenced people do their dirty work. We saw it with the riots after George Floyd. We see it all the time. Do we have any examples of this happening on the right where we get these just regular people who are getting their marching orders from the Republican Party and carrying out? I know people are going to say January 6th, but that there's a lot of people that'll have a lot of different thoughts on this, but you can't. There's no argument about the fires that were happening during and destruction happening during George Floyd. You can't argue about what's happening right now with these Tesla things. They're just easily influenced and manipulated, and they do exactly what their leaders tell them. And people like Cusack throw out these just buzzwords, oligarchy, fascism. Like, I don't even know if these people know what all this means, but they hear it, they get riled up, and they go do the dirty work of the left.
Yeah, there's definitely, at a minimum, we're certainly seeing, if not cheerleading from some in the Democratic establishment, tacit endorsement of it, right? I don't see anybody out there. Remember with J6, and look, I don't think J6 was an insurrection, okay?
Nope.
You got to at least show up with a water pistol or something if you're going to have an insurrection. It was a riot. It was a bad look. It shouldn't have happened.
Bum rush. They bum rushed it.
I do believe. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and downplay January 6th into saying that it was nothing. That was not a good day in American history. It wasn't. And the people who engaged in that did deserve to be punished. I don't think they deserve to have their entire lives ruined, but punishment certainly was appropriate. But everybody said Donald Trump, he didn't do enough to stop this. He said, protest peacefully and patriotically, but we've all had it sort of, the narrative has sort of been reconstructed over time. In fact, very quickly, a lot of people would have you believe that Donald Trump said, hey, go over there and fuck things up.
Yeah.
Right. And that never happened. But, and they're saying, he didn't he didn't tell people to stop fast enough. Have we heard anybody on the left call for an end to this?
Not a one, Ricky.
Chuck Schumer, Pelosi, AOC, Walls. No. In fact, not only are they not calling for the end of it, they are, as Tim Walz did, basically wink, wink, nudge, nudge, endorsing it. He gets a mood boost when he sees Tesla stock drop. Well, why is it dropping, Tim? You know why it's dropping. You know what's going on. It's incredibly irresponsible and hypocritical. I think the only ethically sound position is, and I'm not equating the two, they're different things. January 6th was bad. Shouldn't have happened. What's going on now is bad. It shouldn't happen. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And we got too many people in this country who look at it through the prism of politics. It's okay if my side does it. It's not okay if your side does it. If your side does it, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. If my side does it, it's justified because of X, Y, Z. No, we got to get out of that mentality. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And but again, Ron, coming back to what you said with Cusack, the buzzwords, oligarchy. We live in a John Cusack should have to go live in an actual oligarchy,
right?
Under an actual fascist government, and then come back. Go do it for about, you know what? Go do it for about a decade, John, because you have enjoyed the fruits of being an American for your entire life, just as I have, and just as most of the people watching this program have. Go get a real big taste of it. Not a week. Don't take a vacation somewhere. Go live for about a decade in a fascist government, a real one, and then come back and tell me how bad our government is. But when you already, the narrative was already there. Nothing that could have happened over the course of the last 2 months would have taken Cusack off of that position. The die was cast. He was determined that this was going to be an oligarchy, fascist government before Donald Trump was ever reelected. And so that's what it is. That's the narrative. All right, Ron, let's talk about happier things. You're not going to believe this. Bronny James had a career game last night. Get this, Ron. 17 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds in 30 minutes off the bench as the Lakers lost to the Milwaukee Bucks by 29 points last night. LeBron didn't play. He's out with an injury. Luka didn't play. He's out with an injury. The Lakers were basically running the JV out there, and they got blown out. But having said that, 17 points, 5 assists for Bronny James, 7 out of 10 from the field. Take a look at that. He looked like an NBA player last night, Ron, and credit to him.
Ricky, we can, make our jokes and we can, laugh about this, but, we also, I think, are being realistic when we say he really needs to get some more seasoning someplace else other than the NBA. But the truth is, and I believe I've alluded to this on past shows, Ricky, you can't score 17 points in an NBA game and suck. Like, you're still one of the better basketball players in the world.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Of course.
Well, but I know we and other people make a lot of jokes, and I'm not saying we're disparaging. I think we're more fatherly.
Well, yeah.
We're more fatherly with our criticism. But there are people that out there joke and are disparaging. But the truth is, he's a really good basketball player. And you cannot score 17 points.
Yeah, here's the thing. Anytime we say a professional athlete sucks, it's
off
relative
the standard
to the
of the professional athlete. Yeah.
Every guy in Major League Baseball who's hitting 175
right,
and barely hanging on to the 26th spot on the roster is the best player probably who ever came from his hometown. They still talk about what he did when he was in high school.
Right?
Yes, he's practically a god. In fact, last night my girlfriend was just telling me there was a guy named Mike Bird who went to Hart County High School. That was our arch rival, still is our arch rivals. And he took Hart County to the state tournament, which didn't happen very often. Went on and played at the Naval Academy and, did some things. He was an okay player at the college level, but he was a damn good player locally. They made like a historic sign for him. One of those actual sort of like historical markers. You would know the type of sign I'm talking about if you could see it. They made one for this kid because that's how big of a deal he was in Mumfordville, Kentucky.
It says home of.
Yeah. Well, it was more than that. It was very fancy. It looks like something that would have been put up for like some guy who lived in the 1800s. And I remember thinking, this is a guy we used to play against in high school. He's a fucking god in Mumfordville, Kentucky, and he was in no way, shape, or form anywhere close to even sniffing the NBA after he got out of college. He probably wasn't even good enough to go to Europe. So it's all relative, right? It's not like Bronny can't walk and chew gum at the same time. But 17 points, I will say it's impressive. I didn't see it coming. And as we have said before, Ron, The criticism, as Stephen A. Smith has said, the criticism has been of LeBron, at least from you and I. The criticism has been, why did you put your son in this position? We don't think that it's best for his development. That's really more the issue than anything with the kid. Look, I'm a Bronny James fan. I root for him. I hope that he carves out an NBA career. He seems like a nice kid. He went through a terrible health scare when he was in college. And, I wish him the best with that. Ronnie, I don't know if you're ready for this. The WNBA is going to be the basis for a new comedy series that's going to be on Peacock. WNBA star Shanae Ogwumike, one of your favorite players in the WNBA, Ron, but I know like the Washington Mystics owner, you're really a fan of all Correct. WNBA players, so obviously you're a fan of her.
Don't single them out.
But it's a comedy, Ron, and it's called The W.
Wait, it's just regular games, right? They're just the season. That's the comedy?
The first episode of the comedy series is going to be, I believe, the Sparks against the Sky. It's just they're just going to air it live. Angel Reese is going to attempt to make a layup.
A montage of self-offensive rebounds by Angel Reese.
Yes. Hey, you're talking about the unrivaled league defensive player of the year. You watch your mouth, mister.
Hey,
the Caitlin Clark effect, Ron, is alive and well. Yes, she does. She's an unrivaled league champion.
Ricky, speaking of Caitlin Clark effect, can I want to bring something up. It's not in the show rundown, but I think it pertains to where we're at right now. I don't get any great joy over crapping over women's basketball. I basically, where you see me coming from is like,
it seems like you get a little bit of joy, baby. Dusty Rhodes says you get just a little bit of joy, baby.
Unnecessarily propping it up when it doesn't deserve it. So, Caitlin Clark effect, Ricky. I'm going to tell you something that's happening today that you and I have not discussed, and I haven't heard anybody really discuss it. Are you ready?
Look at this. Ronnie T-shirt's going off script. Tim is holding his breath off camera. I've got my fingers crossed under the desk.
And what I'm about to tell you, I want you to think about it in relative terms to last year, okay?
Okay.
The women's NCAA tournament just tipped off, like, while we've been on the air. Think about that, Ricky. If a tree falls in the woods and there's nobody there, does it make a sound?
It will be interesting to see what the ratings are. The Final Four.
It's like it's not happening, Ricky. It's like it's not happening now that Caitlin is not in college.
We hear some things about Juju Watkins. Look, if Juju Watkins makes it to the Final Four, I might check it out just to see how good she is. I think she'll help a little bit.
Maybe.
I think she'll help a little bit. Well, it is a letdown because, again, the franchise of women's basketball is gone. So
I guess
this
my
is the
point,
whole thing, right?
My point
much
is
of a
Caitlin,
lasting impact did what Caitlin Clark have for the women's game? Obviously she's helping the WNBA, but Tim is telling me that he watched a women's game last night. He said.
Tim also doesn't like Susanna Hoffs, so whatever.
When that Nielsen rating of .00000000001 comes in, it's going to be Tim.
The Google Earth is zoom right to Tim's house.
Yeah, Tim with his feet up, munching on some snacks, enjoying the hell out of it. But let's take a look at the Caitlin Clark effect. She certainly has taken that phenomenon with her to the WNBA. There's going to be 26 WNBA games on ESPN, ABC during the upcoming season. And believe this or not, 41 out of 44 of the Indiana Fever's regular season games are going to be nationally televised. So, Ron, you would have to make your way to the other three. And I know that you've got the coin to do it. You could go to the 3 that aren't on TV. You could watch the other 41 on TV. Ryan, you could go this WNBA season and see every second of Caitlin Clark action.
I bet I watch. How many games are there? 41? 44.
There will be 41 on TV. They play 44.
44.
You get a chance to see her 41.
And the games are like
that's
40
more
minutes.
than any NBA team, by the way.
And the games are
the
40
Lakers
minutes
are
apiece.
the NBA team.
And the games are 40 minutes apiece. So that's like 16.
Here we go.
That's like 1,600
Zach
minutes
Galifianakis walking into the casino. I can see the equations in front of you right now.
1,600 minutes of
do
potential
math.
basketball.
There's nothing that makes for a better broadcast than watching a man struggle to do math in his head.
I'm going to watch.
Seconds.
I will watch less than 6 minutes of the possible 1,600 minutes available to me.
Well, I'm definitely going to. I will be above that. I will check Caitlin out a few times this year because I think she's going to be a lot better this year. And I know how good she already is. I think she's going to make a leap.
She's strong
this
now.
Year. Yeah, she got a dose. And remember, she came right out of the college season too.
Yeah, she has had
a full chance to have a break. She's obviously been in the weight room, and she's a smart person. So I expect her to take it up a notch. She might win MVP this year, Ron. In fact, I'm going to predict it. Caitlin Clark, 2025 WNBA MVP. We'll see if it happens. Ron, Maine is backing down under Donald Trump's threat that federal funding will be cut off from the state of Maine. They have decided that at least at the university level, they are going to honor no more biological males competing against women. You can see here, Maine universities agree to keep transgender athletes out of women's sports after the funding was paused. It wasn't just a threat. They went ahead and they did that. Maine saw the federal funds stop coming in, and suddenly, boom, as Riley Gaines says, suddenly they had a change of heart on this one. Don't know yet how any of this will affect or if it will affect the high school level, which is where we had the transgender athlete who won the girls pole vaulting championship, and actually that championship threw the entire track and field state championship to a different school than should have won it if we look at that. But Brian, I was only thinking as I was looking at this, you know who's from Maine? Pretty good basketball player from Maine.
Cooper Flagg.
Yeah. Could you imagine if Cooper Flagg decided one day when he woke up that he felt like a girl, what the fuck he would have done? What do you think? 90 points and 50 rebounds a game?
Cooperina
25 block
Flagg.
shots. Yeah. I don't know. Somebody needs to do it to make a point, I think, at some point. If all you have to do is just say, hey, I feel like I'm a woman, and that's it, because that is what it is in Maine right now at the high school level. Somebody just needs to wake up and say, hey, I feel like a woman. Who are you to tell me that I don't?
Ooh, you just
and then go out there
you want to sing a couple verses of Shania
points
for me right there? I feel like a woman.
I can't remember the lyric. Yeah. The
I
best
feel
thing
like a
about being a woman is putting up 50 points and 25 rebounds every night. I don't know.
That was good.
All right.
Right off the top of the dome. Right off the top of the dome.
There you go.
Good.
Right there off of the big old dome. Ronnie, I never realized completely how hard it is to have a perfect bracket. But look at this math. Take a look at this. Right now, what are we into the tournament? I mean, half of the field hasn't even played
16 games.
Yet.
There's 67 total games. We've played 16.
Okay, we are already at less than 0.1% of brackets are still perfect now. All right, that's how far we are into it. Look at this. There we go. Same as the WNBA television ratings there, boosted by Tim. 0.0938%.
Yep. Mine's 14-2 right now. So, and I'm leading the pool that I'm in at 14-2.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I looked into this. There has never been a verified perfect bracket in the history of March Madness.
Oh no, it's impossible. It's like the probability is like some quintillion, one in some quintillion. It's crazy.
If you are picking randomly, it's in the quintillions. I read Grok told me today that if with basketball knowledge, okay, so somebody like you who is a functioning human being with some basketball knowledge.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
I'm being a little generous, maybe, but that's the nicest thing I've ever said to you.
Ricky said I'm functioning.
This is male bonding happening right here. By the way, this is
Ron, you're functioning.
This is how we do it. Yeah. You're like, well, thank you. Can't believe that. There was a guy from Columbus, Ohio, Ron, but I read that it's 120 billion to 1 with knowledge.
Okay.
So it's still pretty bad. But there was a guy from Columbus, Ohio in 2019. He is the closest that we've ever come. He got the first 49 right and then lost the 50th game in overtime. So that is that's the Joe DiMaggio 56 game hit streak of bracketology.
That just seems a little fishy to me. That seems a little fishy to me.
No, he was in a contest.
Really?
It's documented. Yeah.
Okay.
I know that you think that you're the smartest guy to ever come out of Columbus, Ohio, but you've got a contender emerges. Ron.
He's more than functioning.
He's highly functioning. He's I think they said he was a neurophysicist or something in the article that I read. So yeah, He's probably got an IQ that's higher
neurophysicist,
than the WNBA ratings.
T-shirt guy, neurophysicist. I'd go ahead. We're going to go ahead and give it to him.
I don't know. I will tell you, I've been around a lot of stupid PhDs in my life as a college professor, but neurophysicist, you're bound to be pretty smart.
T-shirt guy, neurophysicist. I'd go ahead. We're going to go ahead and give it to him.
I don't know. I will tell you, I've been around a lot of stupid PhDs in my life as a college professor, but neurophysicist, you're bound to be pretty smart.